Today we're going to be talking about guardrails for LLMs, and then we'll bring Rohit up to the stage.
And this is how the guardrails architecture looks like. So if I were to just break it down a little bit, so you have your prompt template, your variables, your model parameters coming in.
Yep.
And now they first hit a prompt guardrail. If the prompt guardrail fails, so this is like the series of checks on the input.
Okay.
If this
So this
fails,
this happens in the API gateway layer.
This
Or the
entire
AI
piece
gateway layer.
is just happening within the AI gateway layer. Yeah,
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have this prompt guardrail. You can decide, did it fail or did it succeed? If it failed, do you just still want to continue the execution, or do you want to, fast fail the request? Especially in the case of a customer support query coming in and somebody says, "Here's my credit card number. Can you reverse it?" Now you don't want that coming into your system completely. So you just build a guardrail for it saying, let's fail that request from even coming to our system.
Okay.
Similarly, on the output, I can set up a series of checks. Could be, don't mention my competitors. This is the JSON schema you need to adhere to. Make sure that your response is concise. Make sure it's relevant. So it can be a bunch of these checks, right?
Right.
And then based on those checks, you can define, if it succeeds, send it to 100. And the other thing we're trying to do is, if it fails, we actually want to send out a different HTTP status code.
Right.
From the very beginning, we felt that APIs were always built for a very deterministic world.
Yeah.
Now that we have very probabilistic outputs, we want to say that, yes, the request succeeded, but the output was probably wrong because your guardrails failed. So we give out these new HTTP status codes. So when it's successful, we will still say 246, which says request successful, but guardrails failed. So you definitely got to check the response. And similarly, in case of an error, we would send a 446, which says, hey, it's a bad request because the guardrails that you've configured failed to run.
Okay, I have a question about these error codes. So, Fushank mentioned this to me, and the name of your company is also kind of a call to this. He's told me that these are somewhat related to Harry Potter. Can you explain that for us?
Yeah, I think so. So we were trying to figure out what's a good number to use that's not been used before and is also meaningful.
Yeah.
And I think then, I know for the Potterheads out there, you might know that Umbridge had a series of these educational decrees in the 5th book. And yeah, I think the 46th educational degree was that no content by muggles should be consumed or something like that. And we just felt that might be a really cool piece to just put in here, saying, okay, if it's a bad request, then yes, it is educational degree 46 that has been breached.
Okay.
So let's just put that as the status code. Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty funny.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to put this out anywhere else, so people hear shush, but that's sort of one of the reasons why we just put it as 246. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I also want to ask, what's an example of something where the prompt guardrail fails, but instead of sending the failure, you would send it through the LLM API call through the gateway?
Yeah, I think these are more cases of maybe the guardrail was. So these are specifically cases where you just want to check, but you don't want to take an action immediately. So for example, I want to make sure that the user is not talking to me about the weather, but is only talking about a set of topics that I want. So now this is something that I just want to check and log, but I don't really want to stop the user from going forward. So what I can still say is, hey, whenever the guardrail fails, add a log to the system so I can come back and review it, but allow the request to go through because I still want to deal with it, or we've written a prompt that can handle the other cases as well. So it's a mixture of both. I think some people just want to first start logging requests and then start taking action. Or in some cases, like, for example, it's a toxic prompt or it contains sensitive information.
Yeah.
Then you just want to block it right away.
Okay, I see. That makes sense. And then on the other side, if the output guardrail fails and it is a process failure, then you want to send it back because the LLM is a stochastic model. So it will just, redo it, and then you'll see if that continues to work, right?
Exactly. You could just send it back to the same LLM. You could even fall back to a better LLM. So this is what we see very often is you use a smaller LLM to do some tasks, say JSON generation, and it'll fail 10 and 100 times. And those 10 times, whenever it fails, that's when you can send it to a more capable, better model. So usually very helpful if you're doing fine-tuned models or a couple of models that one is more capable, but one is faster, cheaper. You just put a guardrail in place and then do this orchestration.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, cool.